Do you remember? Remember the moment when she quit desiring you? Can you even think back to the last time she had those eyes for you? Sure, and maybe there are times when the stars align or she's a bit intoxicated, but her now cold demeanor wasn't always there, was it? There was a time when you two couldn't and wouldn't keep your hands off of each other. Remember the early days? It was, well, maybe that's the issue. Maybe you can't remember. And maybe that's why you are at where you are at with her. Stuck, passionless, empty, an emotionless void. Now, most lazy men who accept the status quo, not you, will come up with a rationalization that it's just the way things are. I mean, as you get older and stay longer together, I should expect to have passion as much as we used to, right? That is a defeatist mindset, and after working with hundreds of couples, I can confidently say it's bullshit. There are some men who just know what to do to make their woman want them over and over and over again. They know something consciously or otherwise, something that keeps her wanting more. And quite honestly, when things are tough, their ability to turn her on gets her to let go of the past and open her up to love with you again. So you too can, if you watch this video to the very end, will find a way to make her love you again. No longer do you have to see her as a cold, bitter co-parent living in a dead bedroom of mundane routine. Instead, with the easy formula, you will unlock her primal desire. She will make excuses to sneak away with you to another room and make you feel more wanted than you've ever felt, laying there in peaceful bliss with her head on your chest as she strokes your hair in appreciation for what just happened. Now, the E where we have to start is the emotional safety net, because it is the foundation of her arousal. I don't care if you know the most seductive words to sweep her off of her feet and are the literal embodiment of a confident Casanova. Without this one, she will never want you. A woman has to open herself up to you, to merge with your soul. She will never embrace you emotionally or otherwise without feeling safe. Imagine your walls being these cold spikes, and from all the times that you just made her feel unsafe. It doesn't matter how appealing you are on the outside, because getting close to you equals pain in her eyes, in her heart. Now, here are some ways men create emotional danger with their partner. There's lack of leadership, right? Not taking and making decisions, getting defensive, being reactive emotionally, shutting down, not owning your part in things, not doing what you say, or lack of integrity. Now, these are all signs of a wounded masculine man. The 4 techniques will positively teach you how to overcome each of these on this video. If you do not protect and provide or take care of her heart, consider yourself just locked out of love forever. However, once you're able to take the proper action, her emotions will follow. Now, this next one is a cognitive behavioral technique, okay? Try and think back to when you two were all over each other. What did you do in those early days? You made some spontaneous trips, I'm sure. You remembered every detail about her, favorite color, flowers, favorite song, artist. You actually listened and engaged with her at the end of the day. You touched her constantly, gave her random gifts all the time. Yeah, well, Josh, I mean, things were different than like how we were new and in love. Yeah, I get it. But using the same time interval as a scapegoat for a lack of action is the victim mindset. You see, your actions follow your emotions as much as your emotions follow your actions. Now, I know there is more internal resistance than there used to be with doing these things. They're called love touches, by the way. But making it a conscious decision and a habit to do these things, in turn, that action will then spark more attraction in the emotion of you to her and her to you. This will lead you to be at the cause of the attraction in the romantic connection, because you are turning yourself on and then turning her on, and that love process is an upward spiral that produces the outcome that you're desiring. This leads to a point that nearly every man succumbs to. Now, I recently got on a call with our coaching team here, and we got on the topic of sex. Don't know how it came up, doesn't matter. The point is that we started to speak about the seduction process, right? Now, the female coaches started to laugh about the biggest mistake that men make with their wives that they see every day when it comes to sex. They said, not in unison, but they basically said that they feel sorry for the wives when they hear the stories of the guys, because they thought, if that was me, I'd want to sleep with you, but you screw it up at the finish line. Can you imagine them saying that? That they could see situations that the wife probably wanted to sleep with him, but the guy messes it up. Now, I have to say this last one for the algorithm, but here's the process. You are rushing too much, okay? Because there's a cycle that plays out. When she rejects you or pulls away affection, you get anxious, okay? When you get anxious, that leads to more rushing or being finished focus. And then she feels your neediness, and then she rejects you again. Now, I remember when I told the client this, and he immediately did 3 things that turned the table on this whole detachment from the outcome. Okay, first thing is he did no pornography, and he went abstinent for 30 days and did semen retention. The second is he did a paradoxical intention. And the third thing was that he passed her tests. Now let's expand into each of these just a little bit, okay, and why they work. When you go on a semen retention stint or you become absent from sex, you're actually teaching yourself to not go with it. Like for example, I'm pretty dependent on caffeine. I have to have it throughout the day. And without it, my day just doesn't function as much, I'm sure, like a lot of other guys. But if I wanted to have power over the caffeine, I would stop using it for 30 days. And at first it's gonna be hard, but you have a detachment from sex and you no longer become needy. Now the second thing is called the paradoxical intention. Now this is a therapy technique that I believe it's in strategic intervention therapy, but basically a paradoxical intention is something like this. You go up to your wife and say, hey, you know what? I do not want you to try to have sex with me for the next 30 days, okay? By telling her this, it flips the script. And the thing is, huge caveat, you have to be real about this. If you're using it just as a technique, but you secretly really just like, oh, if she actually came on to me, I would give in, she'll never trust you again. You have to accept, if you use the paradoxical intention saying, I'm not gonna have sex with you for 30 days, don't come on to me, and then she were to come on to you and you gave in, she will never trust you. And she will test this, okay? So don't do that. Now with the third thing of passing your tests, I have a whole video dedicated on this channel on how to pass tests. You'll see that at the end of this video. Now, these three techniques work doubly so when you perfect this next habit. Now for this next one, it's a silent killer that has been almost like a virus affecting your relationship and you didn't even know it. In fact, no one even talks about it. But I'm gonna give you a few studies, shocking studies, to actually present this point first. The first one you may have heard of, you may have not, but every year since I think the year, I don't know exactly, 1930s, 1940s, testosterone has been dropping for men an average 1 percentage point per year. I'll look it up for facts because I know the few of you who are fact addicts want the exact stats, that's fine. In metachecks.com, they say based on this, the average testosterone levels in men are declining 1% every year, give or take. Research carried out in the Finnish and Danish populations has shown the same trend. So they've done this across cultures, it seems like. And going to the study, and it says they've been tracking this since like the 1987 at least. It's been dropping a percentage point per year. Now, I'm not gonna go into what does this. I'm more about solutions instead of problems, which by the way, another shocking study. For this one, I haven't even looked it up yet. I just heard about it. So let me type it in first. Wow. Testosterone levels of new fathers, those with a baby between the age of 1 month to a year, on average dropped 30% in their testosterone. That's not to say that it won't spike back up or go back up, but if you're having kids over time and you're getting older, your testosterone is just dropping. Now, for the few of you who don't understand the role of testosterone, it's totally okay. Gives you energy. You're more of yourself. You're more dominant. You're more assertive. You are all the traits that attract her, right? A man who has high testosterone shows a lot of behavioral traits of dominance. Dominance has been shown to create attraction. So it's like that edge that you used to have, it's going down because of your testosterone. Now, I'm not a medical doctor, so I cannot prescribe testosterone. I can only give my personal opinion on this, but I just turned 35. I just got my testosterone checked and it's a lot lower than it was a couple of years ago. It went from 700 to 400, and I'm considering I'm gonna do everything naturally that I possibly can, but I'll probably go on TRT when I'm like 37, 38. I know a lot of friends who do this, and just every area of their life improves. There's even a TED Talk about this that I can show here, how it improved his marriage when he went on testosterone.
My testosterone levels had affected our marriage just as much as hers.
Just to put a final point on this, if you think that like, oh, how can my testosterone really influence or save my marriage? Look, man, if you get it, you get it, but I just want to say one final point on this. She wants your dominance. Okay, she wants you to be on your edge, a man on your purpose, a man who's driving towards things. And I know a lot of guys, especially in their career and other areas of life, when they hit a certain threshold of success or happiness or peace, they're kind of like coasting in life, right? And a lot of that seems like, oh, that's just normal. I just should be that way. Like, this is just this age of my life. No, you do not stop until you are dead, right? You keep on pushing. You find things to lean into your edge, as David Data says. Find things that scare you to push yourself to grow until you die, essentially, right? So I'll just say that about it, and trust me, she'll thank you. Now, this last one can seem controversial, and that's why I'm saving it for last. For all the people who watched to the very end, I'm gonna reward you. I did my thesis in grad school on short-term mating selection in college-age females. That's where my brain was at, turned it into a book called Social Savant. Regardless, the point of this is that across my hundreds of studies that I poured over in grad school, there was this concept that isn't talked about a lot in terms of what really brings about attraction in a high-value man. And the concept is called pre-selection. Now, pre-selection is simply the idea that a woman will use how other women respond to a man in order to gauge how attractive or valuable he is. Now, if we take the premise over here that a lot of your original behaviors, not all of them, but one of the core ones in which is unattractive or had her made her fall out of love with you or lose respect for you, stop having sex with you, is it because you were needy? You started to develop this overly attached ideal of her. Now, a lot of guys will hear this idea and they'll say, oh, okay, should I go date other women now? No. I just thought of a brilliant metaphor off the top while recording this. All right, think of it like this. Let's say instead of getting love from your wife, you want to respect from other men in your life, or one specific man. Now, oftentimes you'll have more respect from a guy if you guys got in a fight, he would size you up and he knows you're a threat, right? Now, this isn't true with everyone, but it is kind of subconsciously there in every interaction, right? We can size him up. When you see a big guy, right? If he cuts you off in traffic and he gets out of the car versus a small little guy, you're probably going to behave a little bit differently, right? Now, by you developing your ability to fight, does that mean you have to go around and start fighting people and show that to other guys? No. Some guys think so, but you don't. So the same concept applies here with attraction and mate value, okay? That a lot of men, even though you can still want to be with your wife or her no matter what, you could still know that if anything were to go wrong, that if she were to leave you, that you would be okay, that you could find another high value person, even though you want her. Because deep down, a lot of guys don't feel like they can. And she knows that. And she takes advantage of that, as she should. So if you can cultivate the ability of showing a man who's pre-selected, she will give you more respect. She will see you as less needy and have more attraction toward you, okay? You don't have to open your heart up to other women. You don't have to overtly go on dates with other women. You don't have to do that. But cultivating the ability to attract other women, knowing that you can get another high quality woman, will give you that extra, it'll increase the amount of distance you have in your neediness with her, right? Like you're like this usually, it'll just kind of go like this, where you'll want her, but you won't need her. Something I talk about on the channel ad nauseum, okay? If I didn't tell you this last thing, I'd probably regret it. Now look, we don't accept every guy that comes onto our call. It is a free call, but we don't accept every man. And the reason why we don't is because we can't help every man, right? We don't help men who, honestly, the most common guys we can't help is the men who just can't take full responsibility for their part of it. But if that is you, if you can look at yourself in that mirror and you look into your own eyes and say, as much fault as she has in this, I know that if I step up and cultivate an environment for her to grow, she will grow. That if I increase my value so much that she would not want to lose me, she'll be the woman that you used to love. The one that when you light her up, her heart opens, she's there still. I'm sure you see it at times. So if that's important for you to get back and you want to step into your highest version of yourself, then you can set the call down below.